James Sofasonke Mpanza, often regarded as the father of Soweto, was a pivotal figure in the fight for better living conditions for displaced black South Africans. Born 15 May 1889, in what's now called Hammersdale, between Mpumalanga and KwaZulu-Natal, Mpanza's life was marked by significant challenges and triumphs that shaped his dedication to social justice and community leadership. After an early conviction for murder in 1914, which resulted in a death sentence later commuted to life imprisonment, Mpanza experienced a spiritual conversion during his time in prison. He always maintained his innocence, claiming he was somewhere else when the murder occurred. Ultimately, after spending 13 years behind bars, Mpanza was released in 1927 and moved to Johannesburg, where he became a teacher. As he settled into Orlando, a sense of community began to form among the residents, as people began to organize and support each other, helping with housing, childcare and day-to-day survival in the difficult environment. As the socio-political situation worsened across South Africa, black people were continually being pushed to the margins, physically in separate townships, economically in low-paying jobs, and politically in a system that shut them out of governance entirely. It was within this oppressive environment that Mpanza realized that a strong, unified voice was needed to advocate for the rights of those who were being systematically silenced. In response to the growing frustration and hunger for change, Mpanza founded the Sofasonke Party, a political organization that aimed to address the disenfranchisement of black South Africans and give a voice to the marginalized communities of Johannesburg, particularly the residents of Soweto. Mpanza's leadership began to grow as he connected with migrant workers and fellow residents who shared concerns over living conditions, labor exploitation, and lack of political rights for black South Africans. He wanted to unite the different segments of the working-class black population, from domestic workers to industrial laborers, to increase their collective bargaining power. By 1944, he had orchestrated a bold and unprecedented movement, leading 8,000 people to establish Sofasonke Village. This new settlement, built on the outskirts of Orlando, rapidly grew into a sprawling shantytown made from makeshift materials such as sacks and wood. With more than 20,000 dwellers by 1946, the creation of Sofasonke Village was a direct response to the severe housing shortage, exacerbated by World War II, which halted municipal housing projects and left many black South Africans in dire straits. Mpanza's initiative was more than just a fight for housing. It was a call for dignity and recognition. The village, also known as Shantytown or Masaking, meaning place of sacks, quickly became a symbol of resilience and solidarity among its residents. Despite the harsh conditions, the community thrived under Mpanza's leadership, with residents banding together to share resources and protect one another. Guards patrolled the camp. Mpanza's home, dubbed the office, served as a center for resolving disputes and organizing communal efforts. The creation of Sofasonke Village not only highlighted the urgent need for adequate housing, but also brought international attention to the systemic injustices faced by Johannesburg's black population. Mpanza's nickname, Sofasonke, meaning we'll all die together, reflected his unwavering commitment to his cause, symbolizing his readiness to fight to the bitter end for his people's rights and well-being. Hundreds of homeless people from Orlando and elsewhere joined Mpanza on more land invasions, forcing the city council to proclaim emergency camps. These camps were housing close to 100,000 people before they were eventually demolished in 1955. Mpanza's advocacy for black South Africans and his active role in organizing labor strikes, protests and resistance movements made him a figure of interest for the ANC, as it aimed to strengthen its position in urban areas like Johannesburg. Originally established as the South African Native National Congress, SANNC, on January 8, 1912 in Bloemfontein, until it renamed itself the African National Congress in 1923. The ANC was in response to the increasing racial discrimination faced by black South Africans. Its founding members such as John Dube, Sol Plaatje, and Pixley Ka-Sakasimi were from the educated black elite and often worked within the structures of colonial rule, seeking reform through petitions, negotiation and lobbying with the British authorities, and later the Union government after 1910, when the Cape, Natal, Transvaal, and Orange River colonies were unified into one country under the British Crown, with white South Africans, both of British and Dutch descent, at the helm of governance. The 1940s saw the ANC embrace more active and confrontational tactics to challenge the white-dominated government, and their alliance with Mpanza aligned with their broader vision for national unity and political change. Despite the Sofasonke Party growing in popularity, it came under intense scrutiny from the apartheid government, which saw any form of resistance or political activism as a threat to its authority. Mpanza and his followers were harassed, surveilled and often intimidated by the authorities. The government's response to Mpanza's movement was typical of its broader tactics: criminalization and repression. Members of the party faced arrests, and Mpanza himself was often the target of political persecution. The government's strategy was to break any attempt to unify black South Africans against the system of apartheid. Despite facing governmental opposition and even a deportation order in the 1950s, Mpanza's unwavering determination ensured he remained a key figure in the development of the now growing Soweto. He fought numerous legal battles to stay in Orlando, ultimately winning a significant court case that allowed him to remain and continue his advocacy. His leadership was crucial during the turbulent times of forced removals and racial segregation, providing a beacon of hope and stability for his community. Mpanza's persistence and vision were not confined to sports and housing alone. His efforts laid the groundwork for the establishment of the Soweto Urban Bantu Council in the 1960s, which aimed to give the black residents of Soweto a political voice and some measure of self-governance. This council was a critical step towards greater political representation and local autonomy, addressing issues ranging from infrastructure development to social service. His legacy continued through the Sofasonke Party, which remained influential in local politics well after his death in 1970. He founded the Orlando Boys Club in the early 1930s, which later evolved into the Orlando Pirates Football Club, one of South Africa's most famous and successful soccer teams. The club provided not only a recreational outlet, but also a sense of pride and identity for the youth of Orlando and surrounding areas.